I'd like to dedicate this Zoom Zechut as an Aliyah Neshama for my grandmother, Chayat Cyril Sarah Bat Eliyahu, whose Yortzeit was this morning, as well as Zechariah Pesach Ben Aharon Hashem Yikom Damo, who fell yesterday in Gaza and whose Kfura is today. There's a Rashi on Shemot in this week's Parsha, Yud Bet Yud Zayin, Shemot Yud Bet Yud Zayin, that says, Ushmartem et hamatzot, that's in the Pasuk, and Rashi explains what does it mean to watch the matzah, shelo yavo lidei chimut, to make sure that it doesn't have time to rise. But he continues in that Rashi, quoting Rav Yoshia, Al tehi koret hamatzot, don't just read it as matzot, you should watch the matzot, ella et hamitzvot, but should watch mitzvot, and don't let them rise. Kederech she'ein machmitzin et hamatzah, kach ein machmitzin et hamitzvah. Don't give mitzvot a chance to expire. Ella im ba liyadcha aseo tamyad. If a mitzvah comes your way, do it immediately. Any mitzvah that avails itself, we shouldn't wait. That might not mean absolutely saying yes to every mitzvah that pops up, but whenever we say yes to something, it may mean saying no to another mitzvah that we may not intentionally mean to say no to. So the idea is that life is short. Don't let mitzvot expire. Figure out what mitzvah we should be doing at any given moment in time, and then involve ourselves and do it. And yet sometimes we also have to learn that there are things that require waiting and patience. In our parenting chabura here, we've been speaking a lot about Rav Wolbe's idea of building and planting, and much of parenting is planting seeds in our children and being patient for them to sprout. I once heard Rav Moshe Weinberg give a drasha at his shul Eish Kodesh, the Shabbat before Tu B'Shvat, and he spoke about Adam and Chava's inability to wait. That there's an idea, if they would have waited 3 hours until Shabbat began in Gan Eden, they could have eaten from Eitz Hadat, they would have given permission, and there would have been no concept of death in the world. So Rav Weinberg explains that when we came to Eretz Yisrael, we have to make a tikkun for what happens in Gan Eden. Already in Az Yashir, when the threat of Mitzrayim was removed, we ask for ourselves to be brought and planted on Hashem's mountain, Tivi'emo v'tite'emo b'har nachalatcha. And then later, we're told in Vayikra, Yud Tet Chaf Gimel, that when we do get to Eretz Yisrael, what happens right away? V'chitavo el haaretz untatem kol eitzim achal baraltem orlato. As soon as you get to Israel, what should we be doing? Planting. But what do we have to do? At Perio, shalosh shanim yelachem arelim lo yachal. But for those first 3 years, paralleling those 3 hours of Adam Harishon and Chava and their mistake, we have to wait. We can't eat the fruit. We have to be patient. There are times when we have to wait, like Adam and Chava, like Bnei Yisrael when they're waiting for Moshe and don't have enough patience and get swept up in Chet HaEgel. And I want to share another idea that gives me chizuk in regards to a mitzvah that requires waiting. We know that we're commanded in the Korban Omer to bring a barley offering on the second day of Pesach. It's 7 weeks later that we bring the Korban Shtei HaLechem from wheat on the holiday of Shavuot. I once heard from Rav Yaakov Glasser that barley is considered animal food, whereas wheat is a more elevated grain for baking bread, which is befitting of people. He asks, well then, why should we ever bring a korban from animal food? Shouldn't we only give a Kadosh Baruch Hu the best of the best? We learned that from Cain and Hevel. So shouldn't we only be bringing korbanot from wheat, not barley? There are lots of explanations for this, such as the process of going from slaves to free people who are ready to accept the Torah. But Rav Glasser offers a simple answer. Why can't we bring wheat for the Korban Omer? Because there is none. It simply hasn't grown yet. It's too early in the season. You can wish for wheat all you want, but you can't bring it if it's not there. And even if you were somehow able to import it from somewhere, it wouldn't be kosher for the Korban Omer because that's not what's being asked of you. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving you barley, what he's expecting from you is barley. But Bezrat Hashem, there will be a point, in this case 7 weeks down the line, when Hashem does give you the best of the best. And that's what we'll offer him then. But when we are being given less than ideal circumstances, there's no such thing as, this isn't good enough to offer up. This isn't good enough for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem, if this is what you're giving me, the kochot, the life circumstances, whatever it is that's less than ideal, then this is what I'll use to serve you. Zechariah, who fell in Gaza yesterday, was 32 years old. He was a man of the field. He was knowledgeable in Torah. He studied agriculture at Hebrew U, finished research for his PhD in wheat that's resistant to something or other, but as his wife said, he couldn't write his dissertation while he was in a tank. When Gabi and I were getting to know them when we lived in Yerushalayim and had them for a Shabbat meal, they introduced us to their daughter, Sdei El, a name they hadn't seen anywhere, had not yet met anyone who shared that name, but they came up with it. And a sadeh is a place of tefillah. Vayetze Yaakov lasuach basadeh. It's the nickname associated with Yitzchak for the Beit HaMikdash. And it reminded again of that we should be planted on Hashem's mountain. And I'm also reminded of Hamelech Basadeh, usually reserved for Elul. There are times that we visit Hashem in the Beit HaMikdash and times that we expect him in the field, whether that's in our day jobs out in the field or in Stei HaKrav, the battlefield. Shulamit Kozovsky from our Yeshuv, who waited 18 years for her first child, and please God should have another, often quotes her grandmother that there are two ingredients for salvation. Savlanut tefillah, tefillah savlanut. What you need is patience and prayer. If you've prayed, then be patient. And if you've been patient, then it's time for more prayer. We're told in Yeshayahu, Ani Hashem beitach chishana. When the day comes for Geula, I, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will rush it. It will come quickly, in an instant. No time for bread to rise. May that Yeshuat Hashem keherach ayin, salvation in the blink of an eye, come quickly, Be'ezrat Hashem.